All right, folks, welcome in. It is another brand new edition of the 901 Soccer Podcast, and I'm your host, Lawrence Dockery. You can find me on Twitter at L.93. You can find the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod, and you can find Bluff City Media. That's where we are. You can find Bluff City Media on Twitter at @BluffCity_media. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search 901 Soccer and just search Bluff City Media, and we should each pop right up. If you're watching this on YouTube, as you know, if you're watching it, that's the only place you can watch it. So you should do all of the requisite YouTube stuff: the like, the comment, the subscribe, all of that good stuff. If you want to argue with me in the comments, if you want to praise me in the comments, I don't care. Do whichever suits you best, and I'd be happy to engage with you that way. So what we're talking about today, this is a rare daytime recording. Got home a little bit late last night from the 901 FC game in Birmingham. 901 FC beats the Birmingham Legion 3-0 in a Southern Harm beatdown. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how good 901 FC looked and why I think this may be I don't know if breakthrough is necessarily the right word, but it could be the culmination of all the work that the team has put in up to this point. So we'll talk about that. And then also I have some not so positive things to say about my personal experience as a media member at Protective Stadium in Birmingham. So we'll definitely, I've got thoughts about that. So if you want a little bit of spice, stay tuned because you're going to get it. I have thoughts and I have words for the Legion, for the BJCC, for Protective Stadium, for all involved parties. So don't worry, I will get there. But the most important thing is we're talking 901 FC. 901 FC gets the win over Birmingham Legion 3-0. First off, they looked really good. They looked very good. They came out, 901 FC did guns a-blazing, as the old saying goes. They came out with intent, with purpose, and they were duly rewarded after 3 minutes, 4 minutes maybe. A couple of things, and I'll explain why when we get into my experience in the stadium in the press level. But it was not my best live tweeting night from the 901 Soccer Podcast Twitter account. I do apologize for that. One of the mistakes that I made is, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, I misidentified Marlon Santos as Oscar Jimenez the whole game. I don't know how or why I did that. I don't have a good explanation. I guess in my brain, I thought that Oscar Jimenez wore number 11 instead of number 19, which he actually wears. But I'll explain the mishap there later when we talk about the joys of covering the game in Birmingham. And then I kept tagging the wrong account on Twitter. If you follow the pregame tweets and whatnot, the halftime tweets, I like to include each team's @ just because. And I kept, instead of doing the actual Legion account, I put just some like random fan account. So that was an unfortunate error on my part, but who gives a crap? We won 3-0, so screw them. 3-0, and like I said, I kept misidentifying Marlon Santos as Oscar Jimenez, and Marlon Santos was causing problems down the right side against Birmingham right from the get-go, and he made a great run down the right-hand side and put in an inch-perfect cross right to Bruno Lapa, and Bruno Lapa, with, I think the best word you can use to describe that finish was clinical. You could probably also use ruthless or efficient, but it was perfect. I mean, that was straight up textbook, just how you drew it up type of start to the game for 901 FC. So you're up 1-0 right off the bat, and not probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, maybe. I think it was on the 17th minute. 901 FC got a second one. Another good run by Santos, forced a corner. And the corner came in and wasn't cleared, and then a cross came in and wasn't really cleared, and it dropped to Lucas Turchi from 19 yards out, and that's probably the best goal he's ever going to score. An absolutely sweet, fantastic left foot shot that I don't think there's a goalkeeper in the world that was going to keep it out. And before you know it, we hadn't even played 20 minutes, and 901 FC's up 2-0. And so that's fantastic. And you're thinking, okay, wow, this is all happening because Protective Stadium, Birmingham traditionally has been a tough opponent for Memphis to play. So we've played them like 20 times and only beaten them 3 times. All of which, well, I don't know if it was all of which. That's something. This game Saturday night was the first time 901 FC had beaten Birmingham at Protective Stadium. They played there 3 times previously. 2 regular season games, a draw and a loss, and an Open Cup game last year. And we all know, unfortunately, that was an absolute pounding. They returned the favor. You had a 3-0 loss in the Open Cup there last year, and you got a 3-0 win in the regular season yesterday. So absolutely kicked the crap out of them. First win at Protective Stadium. I don't know. I was talking, and I think we had decided that maybe when they played on the campus at UAB, at the UAB soccer stadium, that they won a game there. But wins in Birmingham, regardless of at UAB or at Protective Stadium, wins against the Legion in Birmingham are few and far between. And yesterday was the first time at Protective Stadium that they had beaten the Legion. So that was mega impressive, and that's a nice little feather in the cap in this particular rivalry game. So it's 2-0. You get in the halftime and come out the second half. And, towards the end of the first half, Birmingham had started to put on some more pressure, kind of find their way into the game, forced a couple of good saves out of Tyler Derrick, and we'll get to him in a second. And Birmingham came out on the front foot, start second half, and I'm up there by my lonesome in the press box. Again, we'll get to it. And I'm thinking, this could get dicey. If they get an early goal here in the second half, this could, you might need to start sweating some bullets to figure out how to get this done. And luckily, there was a play where I think it was Tyler Pasher for Birmingham, just for whatever reason decided at the top of the 18, instead of shooting or passing to a teammate, he just passed it to a 901 FC player who played it to Bruno Lapa. And Bruno Lapa is in between the circle at the top of the box and the center circle. And I'm thinking, if he gets to midfield with this ball, that's going to be a problem. This could turn into something. That's going to be a problem for Birmingham. And he gets to midfield, and I go, this is going to be a problem for Birmingham. They're going to regret this. And he laid off to Santos, who was fantastic all game. We'll give him one of the 3 stars of the game. And as he lays it off, I'm like, keep the run, keep going. And he kept going. And I said, find him. And he one touch, laid it right back to him. I don't think you could have drawn it up. That's textbook 1-2 right there. And Lapa, I said, once Lapa got it back, I said, well, this goalkeeper doesn't stand a chance. And he sure enough didn't stand a chance. And Lapa finished it 3-0. That's probably one of the most ruthless, devastating counterattacks I've seen in 901 FC history. I mean, that was the minute it left somebody's foot. I forget who it was. It might have been Turchi. It might not have. And got up to Lapa. I said, here we go. And there they went. And 3-0. I mean, that was vintage, classic, Brazilian counterattack circa 2002. I mean, that was just phenomenal. That was a great, great team goal and great effort, great play by both Bruno Lapa and Marlon Santos. And so 3-0, I'll be honest, I kind of expected Birmingham just to say to hell with it and throw in the towel. And they kept coming. And funnily enough, I was a tad nervous at the number of chances that 901 FC gave up, but I was also reassured by the fact that they didn't concede at all. And Tyler Derrick made, not just in the first half, he made a couple of really good saves in the first half, but then in the second half had probably 4, 5, or 6 really good saves. Birmingham just kept coming, and all the credit in the world to Tyler Derrick. There wasn't any panic in that defense. There were some good saves. There were 1 or 2 moves from Birmingham where I thought, there's no way this isn't going to be a goal, and it wasn't a goal. And that's all the credit in the world to Tyler Derrick. I think he had a really, really, really good game against Birmingham on Saturday. And so now you got, you had the concern had been coming into the game. You won your season opener, and then you lost 5 straight league games. You did pick up a win in the Open Cup. So now if you look at it, it's 2 wins in your last 3 games across all competitions. So the momentum is starting to pick up. I think last night was I don't know if culmination, but you could tell this was, they were taking out their frustration, because they had, let's be honest, they had, you guys have known me, and over the years, I have been very hard on this team. And then coming into the season, I was really high on this team. So I was not feeling super great about feeling high on this team when they dropped 5 in a row, but you watch it and they weren't playing terribly. They weren't playing all that badly. They were creating a lot of chances. Caleb Patterson-Sewell at media availability on Thursday said, look, I think he said they were top 5 in the league in chances created this year. And the best way that he put it was like, look, bad teams don't create this many chances. We just got to figure out a way to finish them. And that's kind of been the theme since the second game of the season is, look, we're creating chances. We just got to put them in the back of the net. And it gets to a point where that does maybe get a little bit tiring to hear, but it is true that they had, outside of the first half of that Indy game, there's nothing that I can point to where I can go, what is going on? This team stinks. There hasn't been any of that this year. They've kept fighting. The spirits have been good. And I think Saturday was their just reward for the way that they have played this season. And it finally showed. The quality finally showed and came through. And now I think you get a win in a rivalry game in a place in a stadium where you have never won before. I think that really hits, I don't know if the reset button is the best way to put it, but that kind of kickstarts the season. I wouldn't necessarily call it a turning point. We're a little too early in the season for it to be a turning point, but I do feel just a little bit vindicated in my line of thinking that the results aren't good right now, but it's not time to panic. I think 1 or 2 shows ago, I said, if it looks like this at the end of May, then it'll be time to panic. And we're still here in the end of April, and things have gotten better. So I think we're good on not panicking there. The message at Media Day from both Caleb and from Coach Glass was, look at Phoenix. The Phoenix was going to be what we needed to look at from last year. They got off to a rough start last year and got into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth on like the last day of the season, and then they went and won the whole thing. So it's as Caleb put it. He said it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And still early. They need to keep playing like this, but the quality is there. They got a lot of really good players. I was high on this team coming into the season. My faith was tested. I think I have passed the test. Not out of the woods yet. Need to get back into the playoff places, but 2 wins in your last 3 games across all competitions, and I think that shows that you're doing the right things, and you're finally starting to get some of the breaks. So that's what I got to say. They'll be back at home next Saturday, May the 4th, against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They're always a tough out, but you beat them twice last year. You beat them at AutoZone Park, and you beat them in Tampa. So, typically that is a tough team to play. They're one of the older, more established, consistent outfits in this league. But, they're not infallible. They're not unbeatable. I don't see any reason why 901 FC couldn't get 3 points at home next Saturday. That's a 3 p.m. kickoff. I believe that is our final 3 p.m. kickoff of the season. It's Star Wars Day. So if Star Wars is your thing, personally, me, original trilogy is a masterpiece of cinema, and everything else just doesn't exist. So if you're a Star Wars fan, come on down to AutoZone Park. If you're not a Star Wars fan, you should still come on down to AutoZone Park, because 901 FC is at home against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Saturday at 3. May the 4th be with you. So that takes care of the game, and I'm going to spend the last few minutes here to bemoan my experience as a media member at Protective Stadium. So I was not originally planning on going to this game. I was supposed to be refereeing Mississippi's State Cup qualifying in Vicksburg this weekend, but got an email early in the week that due to a number of teams dropping out, the number of referees was being pared down. They were going to try to keep it to people closer to Vicksburg. And that if you were doing the State Cup in a couple of weeks, you were probably just going to do that and not both. I said, okay, that's cool. That's fine. That opens up the possibility of going to Birmingham. So I emailed the person at the Legion and didn't hear back. And at Media Day on Thursday, I let Coach Glass know that, hey, I'm going to try to come to this game, so don't disappear without talking to me. And I'll try to come find you. And Caleb mentioned, okay, have Josh get in touch with them. I said, well, I emailed, but I hadn't heard back. He said, get with Josh, have them touch with them. So that's what we did. So we came at it from several different directions and was finally able to hear back on Friday and find out that I was good to go. So I get there and walk up to the gate, get my pass. They don't have a lanyard for me to put my pass on. So I just had to carry it in my hand or my pocket, and then they needed to pass back from me at the end of the game. That was something strange that I've never encountered before. Needing a pass. I think now I've covered over 100 soccer games in person and have never had to give a pass back. Then nobody could tell me where to go. So the first one, I got the pass and okay, just go around the corner and go through the gate. Okay, cool. And I go around the corner, I go through the gate, and I'm just in the stadium. I'm like, okay. I look to the stadium. How do I get to the press box? Oh, I don't know. You'll have to ask the supervisor. Okay, well, where's the supervisor? Oh, I don't know. Well, okay. So I just I walked into like the VIP club, and I'm like, how do I get to the press box? And they're like, okay, you need to go to that elevator down there. So I go to that elevator down there, and they're like, no, you need to go to the elevator on the other side. So I go to the elevator on the other side, and I get to the top, and I'm like, okay, so I'm visiting media from Memphis. Where do I need to go? They're like, oh, it's just the last room down the hall. Okay. So I get to the last room down the hall, and there's two people in there, and it looks like game ops type people. So I'm just like, okay, I need to get in touch with this person. So I finally find this person, and she's like, oh, I don't know where media goes. What do you mean you don't know where? What? Wait a minute, what? So initially, the first place they tried to put me was the video board control room with all the multi-million-dollar equipment, and I was like, I don't know that I necessarily. That's not like press. That's like stadium staff. I don't. You don't want me in charge of the video board, because if there's a penalty that gets missed, I'm putting it up there. And as it turned out, there was a penalty that was missed, but it was on Tulu. So if I'd been in there, that replay probably wouldn't have been shown. I kid. But so then they tried to put me in this one room, and there were already other people in there. So they put me in this one room by myself, and there was no Wi-Fi, there was no game notes, there was no food, there was no no nothing. And this isn't, I had an issue covering the U of M women's game against LSU in the NCAA tournament out at the South Campus. But that's because it was a special event. They had put us in the corner, and they hadn't planned properly, and they came and attempted to remedy the situation. But that's different. That is a track and soccer stadium at the U of M for an event that they don't typically do. This is the Legion's home stadium. This is a brand new, state-of-the-art, bazillion-dollar downtown stadium. And I don't want to sound like I'm bitching, but I'm bitching. I don't require a whole lot to cover games. Okay. And 901 FC has always provided these. So for all of the things that I've complained about 901 FC in the past, treatment of the media has never been one of them. It's I need Wi-Fi, I need game notes, and I need a meal. That's all I need. I don't, the sight lines, whatever that just comes with whatever stadium you're in. I had none of these things. So was sent the Wi-Fi login info, and it didn't work. So I just luckily had brought my phone charger so I could run a hotspot off my phone. There were no game notes. Game notes got emailed to me in a Dropbox link that I couldn't get into. And of course, like I said, no food. So shout out to Dalton, who I rode with. We stopped at Buc-ee's, not necessarily on the way out of town. I was a little bit out of the way, but stopped at Buc-ee's and got some snacks and a burrito, and obviously the Buc-ee nuggets, which shout out, we got a Buc-ee's coming to Arlington here. If you didn't know, I'm all over the place, but here's what I say. I reached out to one of the Legion people that we've interacted with on Twitter before, and I'm like, hey man, what's the deal? This is here's this list of problems that I've never had, and I've covered games at AutoZone Park, at Mike Rose, at the Billy Murphy Track and Soccer Stadium, at the Landers Center, Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Geodis Park in Nashville, Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville. I've never run into this issue. There wasn't a person in the stadium who knew their elbow from their asshole. Okay, I mean it was a cluster. He said, look, it's not necessarily the Legion's fault. Everything you said makes sense. The BJCC, which is like the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Civic Center, like the commission or some government, local municipal government agency, and we all know how great those can be. And they don't want the Legion to have anything, and the Legion doesn't like them, and they don't like the Legion. The USFL Stallions have the same problems. Whoever, you figure it out. Somebody figure it out. Whether it's the Legion, whether it's I can sympathize with the Legion not being the primary tenant of the building, but how in the blue hell do you not know where media goes? How is that possible? You work here. This is your stadium. Has nobody from Birmingham ever covered the team? Has nobody from any other team in the USL ever gone to cover the team? How do you not know where to put media? That blew my mind. And then after the game, I got to get down to the locker room to interview Coach Glass. And it was like it was going to take an act of Congress. I had talked to the person, and she had said, "Hey, just after the game, find me, and we'll go down there." And I was just like, "Why is this taking so long? Like, I'm in here. You've acknowledged my presence, and we're still continuing to just sit here." So, finally got down there, and I ended up. For those of you that don't know, when you do games at AutoZone Park, you don't go into the locker room. You stand outside. They'll go in. They'll bring a coach. They'll bring coach. They'll bring a player. They'll bring whoever. You talk to them. You go on your merry way. Same thing when I covered the College Cup in Louisville. When I've covered 901FC games in Louisville, national team games in Nashville. You don't go in the locker room. There's some journalists that demand locker room access in other sports. There's some journalists that don't think it's their place. Look, I don't care one way or the other. If you tell me I can't go, I won't go. If you tell me I can, I might. I don't know. But she's like, okay, you're going to go through this door and down this hall, and the locker room's right there. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll just wait outside until coach comes by. I'll grab him. We'll talk. And then I walked right into the locker room, and I'm like, one or two players stared like, who is this guy? And why is he in here? And I'm like, don't worry, guys. I'm grabbing coach, and Coach Glass was very accommodating, and so I do appreciate that. And we got done what we needed to get done, and then I'm like, oh, how do I get out of here? And she said, oh, you'll just go out that door. And I walk out, and I'm in like the team parking lot, and I couldn't get out. And luckily, somebody happened to be walking by, and they said, do you need to get out? I'm like, yeah. And he got in his car, and he left, and I just walked out behind him because it was gated, and there was no pedestrian gate. So that's not a well-run outfit down there in Birmingham from a variety of perspectives. And I understand and sympathize with the difficulty of having to share with other teams and not being owned by the team and being owned by a municipal government agency, especially in the South where grift is notorious. But come on, people, you got to figure something out. I can understand, some of it, but basic, oh, I don't know what room you need to go into. Oh, we don't have Wi-Fi or game notes. This is basic stuff, guys. I'm pretty sure you could probably ask any visiting media member who has ever come to a 901FC game has been well taken care of. You can ask any of it. You can ask the Louisville came down for the playoffs last year. I could probably shoot him a text right now and go, hey, when you came to AutoZone Park, you got your game notes, you got your meal, you had Wi-Fi, right? Okay. This was not the case in Birmingham. Like I said, I don't think there was anybody in there who knew their elbow from their asshole. It was poverty. It was not good. It was media accommodations non-existent. So I'm glad the team is doing well, and I've always been glad at the way the team appropriately treats the media and takes care of the media and gives us what we need. The same cannot be said for Birmingham. But that is going to wrap it up for us here today. I believe the show will be dropping on Tuesday. I will gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. Shout out Wimpy. But I think that's going to do it for us today. Like I said, next home game for 901FC is Saturday, May the 4th at 3 p.m. against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So we will see you there. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter at LDoc93. Follow the 901 Soccer Podcast on Twitter at 901 Soccer Pod. Bluff City Media on Twitter at BluffCity_media. Facebook as well, Bluff City Media and 901 Soccer. And here on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe to Bluff City Media. And 901FC's rolling. Hopefully we keep it going next Saturday against Tampa.